What's going on, everyone? What's going on? Relatively Sports with Eugene, Napoleon. Once again, I'm excited. I have another special guest of mine, actually a former roommate of mine in the AFL. We played together with the Orlando Predators. And interestingly enough, this particular guest is so special for many reasons. Not only because of the football sports side of it, but he's actually a ordained minister slash reverend. It's a great guy, played in the NFL for the Cowboys, also played for the Detroit Lions. I'm going to bring him in now. None other than Reginald Warnsley. My man. Listen, my brother, first off, thank you so much for taking the time to come on my show. We've known each other a long time, my good brother. So listen, Reginald, but I always call you Reg. You know that.
Right.
I just want to let my fans know from West Virginia and all around who tune into my show, this man right here, Reginald Warnsley, is one of the most talented football players that I've ever had the pleasure of playing with. We were roommates and teammates in the AFL many moons ago, and let me tell you something. I can't say enough about this wonderful human being that's sitting in front of me. So once again, brother, thank you for coming on my show. How you doing, man?
Hey, man, look, I'm great. We're elated, overwhelmed, man. Just overjoyed to have this opportunity, man. Just to see you, to be with you, a part of this program, and thank you for being so kind today. I really don't know who you were talking about, amen, but about being so talented. But thank you anyway, because I always thought that that you were one of the most talented people, that I ever played with too, and I had an opportunity, to be in camp with Barry Sanders and as well as Emmett Smith. So I hold you to the same athletic talent as those guys as well, Gene. So so we thank you again for being so kind with those words towards us today.
Absolutely. Always. Now, let me ask you a question, because it's interesting. And you and I, every now and again, we get a chance to chop it up on the phone, man, and we talk about what's going on in this world of ours. Mm-hmm. A lot of times we talk about it from a sports perspective, but then we start talking about the reality of what's really happening.
Right.
Now, you being a reverend, I could only imagine you probably have to tackle this thing when dealing with the young people and adults alike from a totally different vantage point.
That's right.
How do you go about doing that, especially when you're talking about what's going on between the stuff that we hear on the radio, the stuff we see on TV? How do you tackle that from the pulpit standpoint?
Well, what I have to do is just have to be honest. And the first thing that I do is, I've never been a judgmental person. And what I do is I meet people where they are, and then we just get into into the truth of the matter, of what we're dealing with. You and I, we always talk about growing up in structured homes with discipline and structure and the rigor of a strong home foundation. And when we look at today, we just have to be honest. Society, it's just something that society don't want to address. But I have to tell the truth, and I believe that what we're dealing with today is the matter that there's a lack of strong foundations, no discipline, no structure. When there's no love, then one isn't able to display or show love. And what we're experiencing in society today is that even when the Bible, and look, I just, my hat goes out to this program for even allowing us to even talk from a spiritual perspective. So we thank you for that, because what we have to understand is that in life, the only thing that you're gonna get out of life is what you put into it. I remember before I changed my life, you know, I was afforded an opportunity to be a decent high school football player. Got an opportunity to play college football at the University of Southern Mississippi, who produced a lot of great athletes, and then even had an opportunity to go over to the Dallas Cowboys on their practice roster, and got drafted by the Detroit Lions, and got an opportunity, amen, to play arena football, where I was afforded, amen, to meet you know, a great guy such as yourself, and so many other, you know, great players. Barry Wagner, Darrell Rockmore, you know, those guys, man, you know, having afforded that opportunity. But the key is that, you know, when the Bible talks about loving the Lord our God with all our heart and loving our neighbor as thyself, that's what we're missing. See, we say that we love the Lord, but we love him with words. Love is an action word. Love is not what we say. Love is what we do. And for the most part, you know, the reason that we shy away from the spirituality of things today is because when we talk about being holy, holy is a lifestyle. It's the way that we live. And people, you know, well, I'm holy, or we say, well, the Lord know my heart. Well, you're exactly right. He know your heart because of what you're doing, and what you're doing is not being holy. Jesus said to be ye holy, for I am holy. Jesus is the greatest example of what man is supposed to live like. Their lives are supposed to be like. And we're not living that. We're talking it, but we're not living it. And the reason that we're not living it is because we're not being held accountable. You know, you and I talk about you know, sports. And you know, and I watched you before I ever met you. I watched you play college football. You know, we got an opportunity in arena football to play against major. You know, they came down to Orlando, and so in the great programs around the country, and people ask the question, well, why are certain programs winning and some are not? Well, it's those programs that are holding these kids to be accountable. You know, not just because you're a great athlete, but you have been afforded an opportunity to play this Saturday because you have been accountable to what the coach and the program, the school has asked you to do. And a lot of times, you know, kids are not being held accountable. And even in homes, in programs, and I'm not here, you know, to knock programs or whatever, but what I'm saying is that from day one, kids have to be held accountable. I'm reminded that, you know, when you're dealing with little children, I have two boys, and I was afforded the opportunity to coach both of my sons, and I kind of nailed them to the wall. You know, their teammates, you know, would never be able to say that you know, I made a difference in my boys because, you know, the bar was raised a little higher for them, so they would be the example for their teammates. And so and the question, you know, well, how do I, you know, do this? And the way that I do this is by just telling the truth. It's just being honest, and, you know, we not sugarcoating it, because it's the truth that makes us free. We talk about, you know, and I thank God for my experiences, because had it not been for my dire experiences, then I wouldn't be who I am today. And I'm grateful today that I didn't die in that mess. A lot of guys don't get the opportunity, don't get the chance that I got. And I'm grateful because I got another chance to be a great dad, to be a husband. For almost 30 years, I've been dealing with kids, teaching young boys how to be men, how to be responsible, how to be accountable, how to be honest, being the best that you can be, you know, and all those things, man. You know, I was afforded as a young boy, you know, to be brought up in a community, a little small town, Bay Springs, Mississippi, to where I remember guys would always, you know, we'd be walking down the road and it would always be something like, hey boy, where you going? Hey son, where you going? They was holding us, making us be accountable for the things that we were doing. And that's what we have to do today. We got to go get back to the old rigor, so to speak, and make young boys and let them understand the importance of being held accountable. And we have to do this at young ages. You can't wait till a joker turned 40 years old and teach him what 1 + 1 is. I mean, Lord, at 40 he should already know. And you know, it's just a little humor, Gene. You know how we do it, man. But
Right.
you know, it starts at a young age. You know, and even in sports, some are accountable and some are not. We're talking about grown men.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
that is difficult for some of us to do it. You played on the and I'll just have to be honest. You know that yeah, I had some talents. I was a big guy who could run, but I had some issues that I was dealing with, and to be honest, I wasn't holding myself accountable to what I knew that I should be doing. And we just being transparent today. And so we have to be honest. And so when I'm talking to young men, my story is the truth. I hadn't always dotted every I, crossed every T. But because of God's grace and his mercy, he gave me an opportunity to where I'm able to do it with a smile, wanting to do it, practicing it, not saying it, and living it. And that's what we have to do. You know, we live in a society today where you know, these young folks, they perceive society to be a bunch of hypocrites because we say one thing and we do another thing.
Right.
And so I used to tell a guy all the time, about children with my children. I know what my boys are going to do in front of me, Gene.
Right.
You know what your children are going to do in front of you. But the question is, what are they going to do away from you? That's the question. You know, down in Orlando, you were a great example for all of us. All of us wasn't as disciplined as you were, and you held yourself to a different standard. Even though folks around you was doing other things, you held yourself accountable and did, even in the midst of some unpopular things, you did what was right. And that's what these children, these kids have to do, even in the midst of adversity. It doesn't matter how difficult it is, how deep the waters get, how hard the wind blows, how high the water rises. We are to be held accountable to a higher standard than what everybody else are doing. If you are professing one thing, then you need to be living it. And so, with children are looking for genuality, if that makes sense, for people that are genuine. And if you present yourself and if you live yourself in a genuine manner, then they will respond to that. I have children every year calling me. Some of my most difficult kids will call me and just say thank you. And that would knock me off my rockers. They're like, well, coach, we understood why you were so tough. We understood why you stayed on us. We understood why you wouldn't let us get away with what we know, that because you loved us. Because had you not loved us, then you would let us do anything that we wanted to do. And so you know, as a coach, as a minister, I can't stand before the people of God on Sundays, having lived any kind of way Monday through Saturday, and believe that I can make a difference in anybody's life. But what's most important to me is that when is the truth, and it's something that I have lived, or is either something that I'm living myself. And that's what I pride myself in. And when I open my mouth, and you know that I can open my mouth, I'm speaking to you about something not just vocal, but it's something that I have lived, or something that I'm living. And it's something that has helped me to be able to help someone. Okay, so yeah, to answer that question, I said all that to answer that question.
No, let me tell you something. That is more than needed. And that's the reason why I like to start off, especially with you. That's part of the problem. We don't have, with me, what you see is what you get. I've always been that way. So I always like to have open and honest dialogue, because I think that invokes change. No matter what culture you come from, no matter what you're dealing with, if you can ask somebody a question, they can answer it honestly and openly, you have the ability to have some semblance of change.
Right.
We have a few more minutes, but I'm first off, with you, I'm going to do a series because, I'm definitely having you back on my show.
Okay.
Because
well, thank you.
30 minutes with what we need to do with our young folk is just not enough time to really dive into some of the things. But
Right.
I'm going to ask you a quick football question, because this definitely does, it's a paradox in life. When you talk about the discipline, the self-discipline that you have to have played at the levels that we've played at, that's a beautiful thing too, because I know that you use a lot of the football analogies also with these life teachings.
Right, most definitely.
So does that help you when you're preparing a sermon to let these young people and some of the elders too, to let them understand how your football career definitely does run parallel with your personal life?
Yeah, most definitely. Just an example to that. Yesterday, we used for a subject, don't quit. In life, when adversity rises and when things get tough, one of the most natural things to do is to quit. And one of the analogies that I used is that that when I was in high school, I ran track, and South Mississippi was the second fastest man in South Mississippi for about 4 years, but one of the issues that I had block problems, and for the first 40 yards, then I would struggle, and then once we got to the 60-yard, then it wouldn't even be a race. And so the parody that I shared was that is not how you start, it's where you finish. And had I quit at the 40, then I wouldn't have reaped the reward that I got at the 100, which was that blue ribbon. And it's the same thing in life. If you quit in the midst of adversity, then you would not have been able to reap the reward that God had for you at the end of the adversity that you found yourself being able to go through. Yeah,
Absolutely. Well, I'm gonna tell you, Reg, man, listen. Thank you so much. You have no idea what this means, because my show, the Relatively Sports Show with Eugene Napoleon, is not just, the topic we get into sports because we're all former athletes. But for my guests, I always like to do exactly what you did today, my good brother. And that is to give some informative, inspirational messages in wording, because verbiage is everything.
right.
And when you come on here, I want it to be informative for the parents, for the young people, for anybody that's watching. Yeah, it's Relatively Sports. I get it. Right. And everybody I bring on is an athlete or former athlete. But guess what? I thank God to be blessed enough to be connected to good brothers like you, that we live a life where we can give back a positive story and a positive word. So let me ask you this. In closing, what advice will you give some of these young people that's trying to strive to be the best versions of themselves in the midst of what's going on in society?
The first thing we have to do is be true to ourselves. And we ask, how are we true to ourselves? Recognizing who we are in dealing with who we see, not trying to be someone else, but being who we are. See, I can't work on me if I'm trying to be Eugene. Eugene can't be the best Eugene trying to be the best Reggie. So my encouragement to young folks today is to recognize who you are, first of all. And whoever that person is that you recognize, that's who you deal with. That's what the development started with. That's what being true is. See, because you can't be anybody else other than who God has created you to be. And I realized that at a very young age. I remember in probably fifth, sixth grade that being a professional athlete is what I wanted to do. And what I started to do, I started to read up on professional athletes. A lot of folks ask, what you chose to be a fullback. Because what I wanted to do, I've never been a selfish person. This is what I discovered at a young age. If at fullback, and we just talking about encouraging someone, at fullback, if the tailback behind me rushed for 1,000 yards, if somebody came to recruit him, then they would want to know, how did this guy get 1,000 yards? So if they came to see him, then they would have to see me. So if I open the holes up for Eugene Napoleon and he rushed for 3,000, then someone would see that little old fat boy in front of him opening it up and giving him an opportunity too. So the key is to being successful is being selfless, putting other folks before you. It can never be all about you, but it has to be about everybody else. And if your motivation and if your mindset is about making folks around you better, then it makes your opportunity better too. So in that, you become a better you because you have made somebody else better around you. And that's my motto with my boys. We sit down on Sundays. Hey guys, man, look, did y'all make anybody better this week? And they laugh. But look, and by that, hey, how y'all doing? Hello, y'all have a great day, or smile, or whatever will make somebody else's day better. And that helps you to be a greater you because you've helped somebody else. And that correlates into sports. Eugene Napoleon cannot rush for 1,000 yards on his own.
That's right. That's right.
So you got to get the other 10 around you to buy in to Eugene. By what? Treating them well, treating them with love. If you want folks to love you, then you got to love folks. If you want folks to be friendly to you, you got to be a friend to folks. If you want folks to be kind to you, you got to be kind to some folks, Gene. If you want somebody to give you something, then you got to give something.
Reg, man, Jesus. Woo, brother, listen, thank you for imparting that to everybody, including myself. God knows what you need when you need it, my good brother.
Amen. God bless you.
I am going to be back with you in a few weeks. I promise you. I'm going to get on your calendar and on your schedule so we can do this again. Do me a quick favor. This might be my outro because this is so important. Please share real quick with the good people. How can we help the community of Mississippi with what's going on down there now? Share, even if it's your Cash App or whatever. How can we help the people of Mississippi? Please put that information on my show right now.
Look, Gene, fortunately, just a few days ago, things got a little better. The water crisis in it, but they're still dealing with some issues with completing the repairs to the water to the plant system, whatever. But it's ongoing. And for those, amen, that that wanna continue to give, they've stopped distributing the water, but there's still elderly people out there, in communities that still need water. Just yesterday, they started another boil water alert for some areas in the community. But people are still needing water. For those, amen, that wants to help, amen, you can reach out to me. My phone number is 601-218-5175. My email address is Reginald Warnsley Sr. at yahoo.com. And if you reach out to me in those entities, then I can forward more information into how you can help the people of Mississippi. And look, man, God bless you, man, for even bringing that up. We're fortunate enough right now. I live outside of Jackson. I live about 30 miles outside of Jackson, but I have friends. And a lot of my members at the church live in Jackson, and it's tough. It's tough when you don't have clean drinking water. You can't bathe in the water, can't cook in the water, can't do anything. And then having to buy bottled water. But I can say one thing about the state of Mississippi. We get beat up about a lot of stuff, Gene, but the state has stepped up and helped in a mighty way. Still needing help or whatever. So for those again that wants to reach out, I have programs now, to where I'm still taking water to various folks. I have a food program to where I'm feeding various communities as well. So if there's anyone out there that want to share and those entities as well, you can reach out to me. Either text message or email in those regards. And look, and we thank anyone that's willing and wanting to share in those regards. Thank you, my brother.
Listen, you're more than welcome. I'll be in touch soon, man. Listen, Reg, I love you. I love the family. Please give everybody my best.
Amen. God bless you, man. All right.
Later.
All right, brother.